History is not just found in dusty books or fading parchments. It is something you can hold in your hand, cold, hard, and stamped with the ambitions of empires. The coins of British India are precisely this: tangible pieces of a past that shaped the modern world. They are more than just currency. They are miniature monuments, metallic storytellers that narrate a saga stretching nearly 300 years. From the first tentative tokens of English traders to the final coins struck in the twilight of the Raj, each piece is a document. They speak of political conquest, of economic revolutions, of cultural clashes and fusions, and of technological advancements that transformed the very act of making money. To trace their evolution is to follow the journey of a commercial enterprise that grew into a vast and powerful empire. These coins are not silent witnesses. They declare their origins with bold authority, bearing the portraits of distant monarchs and the symbols of imperial power. But they also whisper tales of compromise and necessity. Look closely, and you will see the ghosts of Mughal emperors, whose designs the British first copied to gain acceptance. You will see the gradual standardization of weight and purity, a seemingly mundane act that was, in reality, a profound assertion of control over the subcontinent's sprawling economic life. The metal itself tells a story. The shift from abundant silver to bronze and nickel reflects the economic pressures of global wars and the changing fortunes of the empire. They are, in essence, a balance sheet of power, struck in metal for all to see. In our journey through this numismatic history, we will see how a handful of trading posts, each with its own distinct currency, were slowly but surely brought under a single, unified monetary system. This was no simple administrative task. It was a deliberate and powerful tool of statecraft. By controlling the currency, the British controlled the lifeblood of India's economy. The coins became a daily reminder, passing through millions of hands, of who was now in charge. They were a constant circulating proclamation of sovereignty, far more pervasive than any governor's decree or military parade. Each design change, each new portrait, was a message sent from London to the remotest villages of India. Therefore, to understand the coins of British India is to gain a deeper, more intimate understanding of the colonial experience itself. It is to appreciate the complex interplay between British ambition and Indian reality. These small metallic objects connect us directly to the grand sweep of history, from the trading floors of the East India Company to the durbars of empresses and the battlefields of world wars. They are the everyday artifacts that survived the empire, left behind in treasure troves and dusty drawers, each one a chapter in a story of commerce, conquest, and eventual independence. Let us begin our exploration of these fascinating chronicles in metal. Before the first English ships dropped anchor off the Indian coast, the subcontinent was not a monetary void. Far from it. It was a vibrant, complex, and bewildering tapestry of currencies, a reflection of its fragmented political landscape. For centuries, powerful empires and local kingdoms had minted their own coins, each with its own distinct character, weight standard, and artistic flair. The dominant force for much of this period was the mighty Mughal Empire. Their silver rupees and gold mohurs were the gold standard, so to speak, of Indian coinage. These coins were renowned for their purity and elegant Persian calligraphy, often bearing the name of the reigning emperor and the mint where they were struck. They were a symbol of a centralized, sophisticated imperial system. But the Mughal Empire was not the only player. Across the subcontinent, a multitude of other powers issued their own money. In the south, the Hindu Vijayanagara Empire had produced beautiful gold pagodas, featuring deities, a stark contrast to the aniconic Islamic traditions of the Mughals. The Maratha Confederacy, rising as Mughal power waned, struck their own rupees, often cruder but potent symbols of their growing military and political might. Princely states, large and small, each guarded their right to mint coins as a fundamental sign of their sovereignty. The result was a dizzying array of monetary systems. A merchant traveling from Delhi to Madras might need to change his money multiple times, navigating a minefield of different exchange rates and weight standards. This monetary chaos was both a challenge and an opportunity for the European traders who began to arrive in the 16th and 17th centuries. The Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, and finally, the English, all had to navigate this complex financial world. Their initial goal was trade, not conquest, and trade required a reliable medium of exchange. They brought with them their own currencies, Spanish dollars, Dutch guilders, but soon realized that to operate effectively, they needed to engage with the local systems. The sheer diversity of coinage meant that there was no single Indian currency to adopt. Instead, there was a patchwork of regional economies, each with its own preferred coins and measures. It was into this intricate and decentralized monetary world that the British East India Company stepped. The company's directors in London, practical men of commerce above all else, understood that to succeed, they had to adapt. Their first forays into coinage were not attempts to impose a new system, but to work within the existing one. They needed coins that would be accepted by local merchants, brokers, and producers. This necessity would lead them down a path of imitation, creating coins that looked and felt like the familiar Mughal currency, a pragmatic decision that laid the groundwork for their eventual monetary dominance over the entire subcontinent. The British East India Company, chartered in 1600, was a commercial venture, not a colonial government. Its primary objective was profit, and its early interactions with India were defined by trade. To facilitate this trade, the company established fortified trading posts, or factories, at key coastal locations like Surat, Madras, Bombay, and Calcutta. Each of these settlements, known as presidencies, soon faced a fundamental problem: how to pay for goods and labor in a land with no single currency. The solution was to create their own. Thus began the first chapter of British Indian coinage, a story not of imperial decree, but of commercial necessity and clever adaptation. Each presidency began to issue its own distinct coins, tailored to the specific monetary environment of its region. The coins of the Bengal Presidency, centered in Calcutta, are a perfect example of this strategy. The dominant currency here was the Mughal silver rupee. Rather than introduce a foreign-looking coin that would be met with suspicion, the company sought and eventually obtained permission from the Mughal emperor to mint coins in his name. These Mughal-style rupees were almost identical to the imperial issues, complete with Persian inscriptions and the name of the reigning emperor, Shah Alam II. It was a brilliant move. By mimicking the most trusted currency in the region, the company's coins gained immediate acceptance and circulated freely, greasing the wheels of commerce and solidifying the company's economic foothold. Meanwhile, the Bombay and Madras presidencies developed their own unique coinage systems. Bombay, under more direct British control, initially experimented with coins bearing English inscriptions, but soon shifted to the Mughal imitation model to ensure wider circulation. Madras, in the south, operated in a different monetary world altogether. Here, the dominant coins were gold pagodas and fanams, legacies of the Vijayanagara and other southern dynasties. The Madras Mint thus produced its own pagodas, often featuring a deity on one side and the company's initials on the other, a fascinating blend of Indian tradition and British corporate identity. These three distinct parallel coinage systems operated for over a century, a metallic testament to the company's decentralized and adaptive early presence. However, as the company's political power grew, this fragmented system became increasingly inefficient. The fiction of minting in the Mughal emperor's name became harder to sustain, as the emperor himself became a pensioner of the company. By the early 19th century, the East India Company was the de facto ruler of vast swathes of India. Its leaders recognized that a unified currency was not just a matter of convenience, but a powerful symbol of their newfound authority. The era of imitation was drawing to a close, and the stage was set for a radical overhaul that would replace the monetary patchwork of the presidencies with a single imperial coinage for all of British India. By the 1830s, the East India Company's transformation from a trading firm to a governing power was all but complete. The old system of 3 separate Presidency coinages, each mimicking different local standards, was an anachronism. It was a relic of a time when the company's power was regional and its authority borrowed. Now, as the paramount power in the subcontinent, the company needed a currency that reflected its status. It needed a single standard coinage that would circulate from the Khyber Pass to Cape Comorin, a monetary system that was unequivocally and visibly British. This ambition culminated in the landmark Coinage Act of 1835, a pivotal moment in the history of British India. The Act was a declaration of monetary sovereignty. It swept away the Presidency systems and the pretense of Mughal authority. In their place, it established a uniform series of coins for all of the company's territories. The new silver rupee was set at a standard weight of 180 grains, with a silver fineness of 11/12, a specification that would remain the bedrock of Indian currency for over a century. For the first time, the coins would bear the effigy of the reigning British monarch, William IV. The Persian script that had dominated Indian coins for centuries was gone, replaced by English inscriptions. The message was unambiguous. A new power was in charge, and this was its money. This transition was a monumental undertaking, requiring new machinery, new mints, and a new design philosophy. The old hand-struck methods were replaced by steam-powered presses imported from Britain, most notably from the Soho Mint of Bolton and Watt in Birmingham. These machines allowed for the mass production of perfectly uniform coins with milled edges, making them far more difficult to clip or counterfeit. The new Calcutta and Bombay mints became industrial powerhouses, churning out millions of identical coins that flowed into every corner of the company's domains. This technological leap was as much a part of the assertion of power as the portrait on the coin itself. The significance of the 1835 Act cannot be overstated. It was a key instrument in the economic and political integration of British India. By creating a single reliable currency, it simplified trade, taxation, and the payment of troops. It bound the diverse regions of India together in a single economic framework, controlled from Calcutta. And on a symbolic level, it was a masterstroke. The face of William IV, and later Queen Victoria, appearing on the coins used in daily transactions, was a constant, tangible reminder of imperial rule. The era of piecemeal coinage was over. The age of a truly imperial currency had begun. Following the 1835 Act, the history of British India coinage is really a parade of monarchs, each new portrait marking a new chapter in the story of the Raj. The series began with William IV, whose effigy graced the first uniform coins. But his reign was short, and it is his successor, Victoria, whose image would truly come to define the age. Her reign was actually so long that her coinage is split into 2 distinct periods. The first, from 1840, shows the portrait of a young Queen Victoria, a design that became an icon of the era. These coins were initially issued by the East India Company, but history intervened dramatically. The Indian Uprising of 1857 led to the dissolution of the company in 1858, and the British Crown assumed direct control over India. The coins changed to reflect this new reality. The inscription, East India Company, was replaced with Victoria Queen. This was more than just a subtle alteration. It was a fundamental shift in the nature of British rule, now directly administered by the Crown. Then, in 1877, Victoria was proclaimed Empress of India. Once again, the coinage was updated to broadcast this new, grander title. The inscription changed to Victoria Empress, and her portrait, now of a more mature and imperial figure, was stamped onto the currency of her vast Indian domain. For millions of Indians, the face of this distant empress was the most immediate symbol of the British Raj, a constant presence in their economic lives for over 60 years. Victoria's son, Edward VII, ascended the throne in 1901, and his portrait duly appeared on the coins from 1903. His coinage is notable for a curious controversy. The initial design for the rupee featured the king bareheaded. However, this caused some consternation, and the design was later modified to show him wearing a crown, an image deemed more suitably imperial. This small detail really reveals the careful thought and political sensitivity that went into the design of these coins. They were not just money, they were propaganda, and every element, down to the monarch's headwear, was considered for its potential impact on the Indian populace. His reign was short, and his coins were minted for only a few years, making them a distinct and collectible series. The final two monarchs of the British Indian series were George V and George VI. George V's coinage is famous for the pig rupee of 1911. The elephant on the King's Order of the Indian Empire decoration, worn on his robe, was poorly engraved on the initial dies and looked more like a pig, an animal considered unclean by Muslims. This caused an outcry, and the coin was quickly recalled and redesigned, making the original a rare and sought-after collector's item. The coinage of George VI, the last emperor of India, charts the final turbulent years of the Raj. The immense cost of World War II forced a dramatic change. The silver content of the rupee was reduced and then eliminated altogether, replaced by nickel. This debasement of the currency mirrored the waning power of the empire it represented. The currency of British India was a carefully structured system, with a range of denominations designed to facilitate transactions of all sizes, from the grandest commercial deals to the smallest village purchase. At the heart of this system was the silver rupee. It was the anchor, the standard unit against which all other coins were measured. The rupee was divided into 16 annas. Each anna, in turn, was divided into 4 pice, and each pice into 3 pies. This 1-16-4-3 structure created a complex but functional system. The primary denominations struck in silver were the rupee, the half rupee, the quarter rupee, and the 2 annas coin. These silver coins were the workhorses of the economy, used for wages, rents, and significant trade. Below the silver coinage was a hierarchy of coins made from less precious metals. The most common of these were the copper and, later, bronze coins, the quarter anna, the half pice, and the 1/12 anna, or pi. These were the coins of the common people, used for everyday needs in the marketplace. Their designs often featured intricate wreaths and clear, bold statements of their value, ensuring they could be easily identified by a largely illiterate population. As the 20th century progressed and the economic pressures of global conflicts mounted, the metallic composition of the coinage began to change. Nickel brass and pure nickel were introduced for the anna and 2 annas denominations, a cheaper alternative to silver, signaling a shift in the empire's economic fortunes. Just as important as the denomination was the mint mark, a tiny symbol that identified where the coin was made. The 2 principal mints of British India were in Calcutta and Bombay. Calcutta minted coins typically have no mint mark, while coins from the Bombay mint are usually identified by a small dot, or, in later years, a diamond shape placed beneath the date. During periods of high demand, such as World War II, the capacity of these mints was stretched to the limit. To cope, coins for India were also struck at other mints across the British Empire, including the Lahore Mint, with the letter L, in what is now Pakistan, and even as far away as the Pretoria Mint in South Africa, with the letter P. These mint marks allow collectors to trace the logistical network of the empire's currency production. The story of the metals is itself a narrative of imperial economics. The long-standing silver standard, which had defined Indian currency for centuries, came under immense pressure during the 2 world wars. The global price of silver skyrocketed, making it more valuable as bullion than as currency. This led to the great debasement of the 1940s. The silver content of the rupee was first reduced from 91.7% to 50% in 1940, and then, in 1946, silver was abandoned entirely in favor of nickel. This final series of nickel coins, bearing the portrait of George VI, were the last gasps of the British Indian monetary system. The shift from precious silver to base metal was a stark, physical symbol of an empire, exhausted by war and on the verge of dissolution. Not all British India coins are created equal. While millions were minted and circulated widely, certain issues have become exceptionally rare and valuable, turning the hobby of collecting into a thrilling treasure hunt. Rarity can arise from several factors. Some coins are rare simply because very few were minted in a particular year, a phenomenon known as a low mintage. For example, certain dates for the gold mohurs or the smaller silver fractions are known to be incredibly scarce, often commanding astronomical prices at auction. These are the holy grails for dedicated collectors, the product of specific historical circumstances, where only a small batch of coins was required or produced. Another major source of rarity is the error coin. Minting is an industrial process, and like any such process, it is not immune to mistakes. Dies could crack, coins could be struck off center, or a die for one denomination might be mistakenly paired with a die for another, a mule coin. While these were considered failures at the time and were supposed to be destroyed, some inevitably slipped into circulation. A famous example is the 1943 half rupee, where some coins were struck with the reverse design of the previous year. These errors, imperfections that tell a human story of fallibility within the imperial machine, are highly prized by numismatists for their uniqueness and the story they tell about the minting process itself. Then there are the famous varieties, coins that were deliberately redesigned, making the original version scarce. The most celebrated of these is the 1911 pig rupee of George V. The public outcry over the poorly rendered elephant led to the coin's withdrawal and redesign. The surviving examples of the original issue became instant rarities, a tangible piece of a minor political scandal. Similarly, the 1839 rupee of Queen Victoria, with a modified reverse design, is another key variety sought by collectors. Identifying these subtle variations in design, lettering, or portrait style is a core skill of the advanced collector, turning the examination of each coin into a detailed historical investigation. The value of these coins is also heavily dependent on their condition, or grade. A coin that has barely circulated and retains its original mint luster will be worth exponentially more than a heavily worn coin of the same date and type. Collectors use a standardized grading scale, ranging from poor to uncirculated, or proof. A proof coin is a special early striking of a coin issue, made with highly polished dies, and intended for presentation or archival purposes, not for circulation. These represent the pinnacle of the minter's art and are among the most beautiful and valuable specimens. The pursuit of these rare varieties, errors, and high-grade examples is what really drives the market and makes the study of British India coins a dynamic and ever-evolving field. On August 15, 1947, the British Raj came to an end. India was independent, and the era of coins bearing the portraits of British monarchs was over. The last coins of George VI were replaced by the new currency of a sovereign India, which featured national symbols like the Ashoka lion capital. This marked the formal conclusion of the British Indian numismatic story. Yet, the legacy of this coinage did not simply vanish. It endures in the very fabric of the monetary systems of modern India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The standard weight of the rupee, established by the company in 1835, was retained for years after independence, a testament to the deep institutional roots planted during the colonial era. Today, these coins are prized by collectors and historians for what they reveal about this complex period. They are not merely relics of a bygone empire, they are primary historical sources. For a historian, a sequence of these coins illustrates the trajectory of British power, from a tentative commercial presence to absolute imperial dominance and eventual decline. The shift in metals, from silver to nickel, is a physical manifestation of the economic strains of total war. The changing portraits and titles are a public relations campaign etched in metal, designed to project an image of stability, power, and legitimacy to millions of subjects. They are a unique window into the mechanics and psychology of empire. For collectors, the appeal is multifaceted. There is the thrill of the hunt for rare dates and varieties, the intellectual challenge of classifying and grading, and the aesthetic appreciation of the engraver's art. Building a collection of British India coins is like assembling a personal museum, a timeline of history that can be held and examined. Each coin has a story, where it was minted, whose portrait it bears, and the historical context in which it was struck and circulated. It connects the collector in a tangible way to the grand narrative of the last 3 centuries of Indian history, a narrative of immense change and consequence. Ultimately, the coins of British India are a powerful reminder that history is made up of everyday objects. They pass through the hands of merchants, soldiers, farmers, and officials, witnessing transactions both momentous and mundane. They are echoes of an empire, silent survivors that outlasted the viceroys and emperors whose images they carry. Their enduring importance lies in this dual role, as fascinating collectibles that spark a passion for history, and as invaluable documents that help us understand the intricate and often contradictory story of the British in India, a story whose impact continues to resonate across the globe today.